The topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Hello, W4CY listeners. My name is Nitzan Mosri, and I am the Traveling Investor. This is where you're going to learn how to master your mind, body, and wallet. I'm an entrepreneur, coach, and investor, and I've spent my life studying and following the habits and mindsets of highly successful people. With that knowledge, I've created a lifestyle business where I live life on my own terms. I'm on a mission to share my knowledge to help you live life on your terms. I'm Nitzan Mosri, the Traveling Investor, and thank you for joining me as we dive into real, raw, authentic, and inspiring conversations with people from around the globe who are making an impact. What's happening, everybody? Nitzan Mosri, the Traveling Investor, and I'm here with my boy, Tom Zames, philosopher extraordinaire, and it is awesome. What's happening, Tom?
What's going on, brother?
Dude, this is exactly why I love what we do, right? And why the show is called The Traveling Investor. Because you're in your car traveling, you came to the studio, but I wasn't there because I'm traveling. I'm in Atlanta right now, and I'm doing the show, and we're doing the show, and we're not even in the same state.
We're not.
And it's awesome. So, thanks for dealing with all the headache of getting, going to the office and to the studio and seeing that I'm not there and whatnot. So that's awesome. How's your week been?
All good, man. It's been great. It's been a great week. I'm feeling fantastic.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Talk to me, man, because, last couple of weeks you were like, cruising up and down, had some issues with some deals that you were putting together,
That one troublesome deal, closed it. It's done. So a lot of stress off my back. That was big. I still have highs and lows, but today's a great day, man. Today's a beautiful.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So we got Dr. Elise Cortez asks, how did your deal go? So I guess she's talking to you.
The deal closed. That troublesome deal closed. Everything went well. Everybody's happy, and on to new adventures.
That's fantastic. I'm, personally, I'm now in Atlanta. I'm in Little Burn, Georgia, where I have one of my properties, and I have two other properties, one in Athens and one in Commerce. So I've been bouncing around, going there, checking, giving support to the property manager. I'm actually, I don't know if you can see behind me, I'm in the leasing office at one of my properties right now, and it's a great journey, right? It's with all the ups and downs, right? I know, I can speak for myself, and I'm pretty sure I can speak for you as well. We wouldn't want to be doing anything else than what we're doing right now. Am I right?
A lot of freedom, and it's good. I've done the 9 to 5. I've done it. It's not for me.
It's not right. It's not for me either.
Yeah, it's not for a lot of people.
I did a live video Facebook yesterday, and I was sharing with people how, how awesome it is to be able to build your business around your lifestyle rather than adjust your lifestyle to fit your business, right? I was on a podcast yesterday. I was being interviewed, and we were talking about that. How I work with clients to first visualize, right, that mindset thing of our business, what we want our life to be like, right? Do we want to have freedom? Do we want to be able to go places, travel, and all that? And then we build our business around our lifestyle, which is not what we were taught to do in school. Am I right?
Absolutely. We are not taught anything close.
I saw on social media, I saw a video yesterday. This guy, he's talking to his kid's teacher, and he goes, so how's my student? How's my son? And the teacher says, well, in science and math, he's not doing so well. And he says, well, how's everything else? He goes, well, your son behaves really well. He's a perfect gentleman. He's, attentive, respectful, on time. So the father looks at the teacher. He goes, so let me get this straight. Everything that I taught my son at home, he's excelling and doing great. But everything that you're teaching him, he's failing at.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It's
Yeah.
that different way of looking at it.
Yeah. The first question I would have asked is, does my son want to be a mathematician? I mean, come on.
That's right.
We're learning about stuff that, once we get out of, I don't know, once we're 6 or 7 years old, we've maxed out on what we're learning at school.
True. My daughter's in high school right now, and she's learning stuff. And I'll tell you, the one thing that I really think that kids and people we need to learn is at least algebra, right? X plus Y equals Z, especially in our business, right?
Sure.
We have income and cap rates and purchase price. And if I'm buying at a 6 cap, what is that purchase price? So we got to kind of solve for X. But everything else, we got calculators and computers to do the rest for us, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We have here some comments. Where is everyone today on the road? I'm in Atlanta and Tom is in Boca. And guys, if you went to all of our listeners, do me a favor. Let us know where you're listening in from. Would really love to know. We like to interact with all our listeners and get to know you guys. People are saying there must be freedom in your work style since you guys are all over the place. That's why we do what we do, right? For the freedom.
It's all about freedom.
Right? It's all about freedom.
Yeah.
It's all about freedom, man. Freedom to do what you want when you want.
Yeah, I think that's why all this stuff that's going on right now is rubbing you and me the wrong way.
Absolutely. Because our freedoms are being taken away from us. They're telling us that we have to wear masks. We have to do this. We have to live according to other people's fears. Now, if you want to wear a mask and you feel comfortable wearing a mask, by all means, go ahead and do it. But don't tell me that I have to. I was just in Office Depot here next to the office. And as I walk in, the first thing they yell, "Sir, you got to wear your mask." So I have this out here so that I can show everybody how I wear my mask. So I say, hey, no problem. And I put on my mask. And this is how I walk around in stores with my mask on. And then people are okay. Just like this. Last week I was with my wife at a restaurant in Del Rey at the Wine Bar on Atlantic Avenue. And I walk in and my wife walks in and she's talking to the hostess, and the hostess looks at me and she goes, "Sir, you're going to have to put your mask on." So I put it on like this. She goes, "No, you're going to have to raise it." So I put it like this. And then she goes, "No, sir, you're going to have to put it over your nose. So I just turned around and gave her my back. And that was it. And that was it. And it's ridiculous that this is okay, right? But walking in like this is not okay.
Here's how you know it's all bullshit. Even if you wore that over your nose, look at that flimsy piece of shit you've got over your face. I could come right now and sneeze and cough right in your face, and it's getting all the way through. It's getting into your mouth, all that good stuff. It's just the way it is,
It's control. It's control, and I'm told that I'm a conspiracy theorist. All these things. I make up all these things.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. But what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about mindset. We're going to talk about how people shift and how they go from one place to another. And somebody's saying here, better we get exposed, right? You know what? Yeah, I think it's better that we all get exposed, so that we all get the virus. You go through it, you get immune to it, and you move on, right? Just like anything else.
We've already established herd immunity a long time ago, back in April. So,
Yep. Well, listen, man, we got an awesome guest today. We got an awesome guest. I spoke about him 2 weeks ago, and we finally got him on the show. His name is Barry Griffith. He's the host of the YouTube channel Wrestling with Real Estate and WWRE podcast. And this is where he interviews people from all aspects of the industry. Like me, I was on his show, but he's a former, wrestler. He's been working in the entertainment industry for the past decade. He previously starred in the UK version of US Gladiators as Gladiator Goliath. I'm looking at his picture here, and he just looks like a badass. I mean, I would not want to be caught in the dark alley with this guy. From Gladiators, he went on to wrestle on TV with WWE as Mason Ryan. And he wrestled people like John Cena, for example, right? He performed on pay-per-views. He regularly appeared on Monday Night Raw. He's currently performing for Cirque du Soleil at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. So travelers, you're out there. If you're out in Vegas, you better go see this guy because he is phenomenal. Now, what's awesome about Barry is that he is moving into real estate. Right? He's moving into real estate. He's doing a mind shift, right? You and I, Tom, we always talk about mind shift, mindset, all that good stuff, right? And this guy has actually been successful, hugely successful in his industry, but decided to shift. I want to talk to him about, where that shift came from. Why did he do that shift? How did it work, right? How did he get involved in all that? And travelers, you should really talk about it. And we'll talk about the COVID situation and all that with him as well. He's really, really nice guy, really nice guy. So what we're going to do real quick is we're going to take a short break. We're going to listen to some of our sponsors. And then when we come back, we'll bring Barry on and he'll body slam us virtually on the show.
The suplex.
That's right. He's going to suplex us. All right. So travelers, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Traveling Investor on W4CY Radio. Please take a moment to listen to the sponsors who have a secret message just for you. Don't leave. The best is yet to come. The Traveling Investor will be right back.
I wanna be rich. Oh, I wanna be rich.
Behind everything you're searching for is something you're actually looking for. When you search with the Real Yellow Pages, you get more than a contractor. You get a whole new curb appeal. It's not just getting directions to a dry cleaner with YP.com. It's rescuing an old favorite from the back of the closet. And it's more than finding a locksmith with YP.com on your mobile. It's getting to sleep in your own bed. Whatever it might be, there are more ways to search and more ways to find exactly what you're looking for with the Real Yellow Pages, YP.com, and YP.com on your mobile, only from AT&T.
Fiesta Pet Deli, South Florida's original and only fresh food deli for pets. We carry a full line of products like Bravo, Nature's Variety, and BioComplete. We have FDA-approved meals that are prepared daily. Stop by our brand new store located at Sample Road and the Turnpike in the Festival Flea Market in Pompano, Florida, or call 954-971-2500. Check us out online at www.realfoodforpets.com. If your pet's overweight, suffers from skin problems, or you suspect food allergies, we have the solution. We also carry a large variety of pet strollers, bedding, apparel, collars, leashes, natural chews, and grooming supplies. Veterinarian-owned and operated, Fiesta Pet Deli's mission is to help every pet owner have the healthiest pet they possibly can. Call us today for local deliveries or shipping throughout the United States. Call Fiesta Pet Deli today at 954-971-2500. That's 954-971-2500.
Hey, this is Rebel Medler. Join me for In Your Face on W4CY.com, Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
You are now tuned in to W4CY Radio, entertainment at your fingertips.
I wanna be rich. Oh, I wanna be rich.
Attention listeners, we are preparing once again for takeoff, so please return to your seats as W4CY Radio welcomes back your real estate guru, the traveling investor, Nitsan Mosery.
What's happening, travelers? Nitzan Mosery, the traveling investor, and I've got Tom Zames, philosopher extraordinaire. Dude, I want you to drop some philosophy nuggets on us, man. Some words, some bombs during the show, man. All right, I want you to dig in deep and come in. I want you to connect. All right.
Okay.
And while we're doing that, okay.
All right.
So what I want to do now is I want to introduce Barry Griffiths, right, who was on WWE as Mason Ryan, wrestled John Cena. He's doing Cirque du Soleil now, and he's transitioning into real estate. Barry, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Absolutely. Look at that hair, man. I love that hair.
I even have my hair down for the interview today. It's going to be a wild one.
Absolutely, man.
I'm
Great to
jealous
have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I was enjoying listening to you guys. I'm excited to be here. There's a lot of stuff, cool stuff that you guys were talking about. I was just enjoying listening to you guys. So thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome, man. So let me ask you, where's that accent from? Is it Australia, New Zealand, England?
No, not Boston either.
Brooklyn.
I get
Brooklyn,
Boston, right? It's Wales in the UK. So I'm glad I still have an accent. I've been in the US 10 years now. We'll be 11 next January. So my accent's changed a little bit. If you heard me 10 years ago, you probably wouldn't understand many words I said. You know, a very, very thick accent. But yeah, I'm glad I still have it. So Wales in the UK, that's where I'm originally from. So English is actually my joint first language. I speak Welsh as well. So we have our own language in Wales.
Dude, drop some Welsh on us.
Okay, so the one that always gets people. There's a place in Wales right by where I live. It's the longest place name in the world. Are you ready for this? Is the name of the place. It's called Llanfair Pwllgyngyll o Gerrig Wynndropwy Llantysilio Gogogoch. That's the name of one place.
Yeah, you just made that shit up.
I'm not even that clever. I wish I was that clever. You should see the street sign. It's like a mile wide. Yeah. Llanfair Pwllgyngyll. So, and I'll say something else. Mae'n bleser bod yma. It's a pleasure to be here. So.
Awesome, brother. Awesome. We have one question from somebody already. They asked, what years did you wrestle for WWE?
I started wrestling in 2010, and then in 2014 is when I finished with them. I was on TV from 2011 till mid-2012. So, yeah, I was on Monday Night Raw. I was on some 4 or 5 pay-per-views. Yeah, did some fun stuff for a little while.
That's awesome, man. How does someone get into that? You know, I'm sure everybody's always wondering, right? How do you become a wrestler?
Yeah, it's even crazier to some extent because I'm from Wales in the UK, and here in America, wrestling is this big, massive show. Everyone knows about WWE. Wrestling is like a traditional thing. Like people respect it, they understand it. You know, they think it's cool if you're a wrestler. In the UK, it's not really the same, and it's changed a little bit. But especially when I was starting 16 years ago now, I was starting 16 years ago in my small little town. I'm from a small town in Wales where there's like maybe 200 people. Like it's small and it's kind of a little bit old-fashioned. Good people, not knocking it, but it's a little bit old-fashioned. So they were used to like wrestling being seen as this fake, not real, stupid kind of thing to some extent. That's kind of how. So when I was younger, I lifted a lot of weight. I loved training, and I was like, what can I do with this physique? What can I do with it? So I started looking into being a wrestler. And somehow I met a wrestling promoter. He became my mentor. I started going to wrestling training. But I remember you talked about mindset there, and I think this might be interesting to you guys, is that when I started, it was hard to start because I could tell that everyone was kind of not laughing behind my back, but kind of, right? And it was a challenge at the start to kind of really push through that and be like, no, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to commit to it. I'm going to, forget the naysayers, forget what everyone thinks, and just kind of push through it. So what happened was I met this mentor, started wrestling in the UK, doing small little shows in the UK, 150, 200 people at most, this town halls and small little theaters and all this kind of stuff. And then through luck, I got connected with the WWE at the O2 Arena in London, and they signed me. And the next thing I know, I wasn't far from you guys. I was on a plane to Tampa, Florida. So it was a bit of a whirlwind, to be honest with you. That's kind of the short story, I guess.
So when you say luck, I mean, was it really luck, or did you?
Yeah, what's that saying?
Manifest it.
It's when when training meets opportunity, right? Or there's a saying, something along those lines. And it was luck is when training meets opportunity, or dedication is something along those lines. And it was kind of that, right? There was luck involved, but it's like when you find a real estate deal, right? There might be a luck involved with it, but it's that work going in, talking to brokers, letting everyone know what you're doing shows like this, right? Showing up every day and having that dedication, right? There's luck involved sometimes when you get that deal, but that luck is created by the circumstances that you create for yourself. And that's what it was with me. There was a lucky circumstances. I happened to be in London at the time, and they happened to be in London doing a show. But all the training, all the dedication, all the everything else that I put into that created that luck. So yes, there was luck, but just as you were alluding to, I think that, the hard work and dedication wasn't luck, right? That wasn't luck. The training on a Saturday night when everyone else is in the pub getting drunk,
right?
Eating right when everyone else is eating pizza and burgers, right? Those things weren't luck; they were dedication. And it's kind of the same thing for you, I'm sure, when you find a deal. There's luck involved, but that's not what it ultimately comes down to.
That's right. That's right. So
you create the breaks.
What's that? Sorry.
You created your breaks. You created, everything was, you created your luck.
I would like to think so. Yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. So why did you think that, where did that idea for you to go into wrestling? How did that happen? Was it something that you always wanted to do, or was it, again, you just met somebody and you said, yeah, let's just do it?
Truthfully, there was a few things. So no, I didn't watch really wrestling growing up so much. We only had 4 channels, believe it or not, for the most part of my life growing up. Like unless you had cable TV, which not many people had, I had 4 TV channels. Can you imagine that? So there wasn't any wrestling on TV, so I wasn't really exposed to it. Didn't really know too much about it. And then what happened was, I used to be a soccer player, believe it or not. I was soccer mad. I used to train, love soccer. And then I blew out my knee. So I had all this energy that I was used to training it. For some reason, dedication was never an issue with me. I always had that. Whether I had the skill level or not, I don't know. That was another thing. But I always had that. So I transferred that energy from training to soccer into the gym. And I just loved, once I found the gym, I didn't really train in the gym before until I was like 18, 19. Once I found that, I fell in love. I could just go there, trim my ass off, be in there, and it was just all on me, right? I wasn't on any teammates. I wasn't letting anyone down. I could just train, and I trained, and I created this physique. And I always wanted more as well. I grew up in a small town, but I was like, I didn't like living in a small town where there was nothing there. Great people again. So I'd hate for anyone to watch this and think that I'm knocking where I came from. I love where I came from. I'm so proud of where I came from, and I love going home, seeing all my friends and all the great people that are there. But it was a small town that there wasn't much going on there, and I always wanted more. I didn't really realize it necessarily, but I always knew that I wanted more than what that place had to offer. So between the two things of that, I kind of looked into wrestling. I thought that could maybe take me out of this and create a different life and lifestyle for myself. But also I had this energy and training and dedication training. I was like, this is going to waste. I'm training 7 days a week, eating healthy every day. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't do anything like that. So I got to do something with it. And I think wrestling just happened to be on the TV one time. And because I had some of an athletic background, I was like, wait, these big jacked guys on TV, like doing this athletic stuff, I think I can do that. It wasn't, and I was never drawn to the character stuff, to the talking stuff so much, because I'm somewhat of an introvert to some degree, which people might find strange to think, you're standing in just a pair of trunks and the boots in front of 20,000 people, right? How much of an introvert can you be? But I never really enjoyed the talking aspect stuff. I enjoyed the physical and the athletic based stuff. So that's kind of what happened. And through that, I kind of luckily just went to a small town wrestling show and met this old guy, this old timer, really cool dude. He been in the wrestling business for like 60 years at the time. And he was looking for someone who speaks Welsh. So as I spoke, he was looking for someone to create as somewhat of a little star that spoke Welsh, because he was so proud to be Welsh. So I met him, and he just kind of took me off to the races. I just followed him because he kind of guided me so much. And just to give you an idea of how crazy this guy was, he started his wrestling career like 60 years before on the traveling fairs. So he would go all over Europe on the traveling fairs, and he worked on the boxing and wrestling booth. And the boxing and wrestling booth was always situated in between the ring of fire. So the guys on the motorcycle that used to go through the rings of fire, they put them on fire and then they would ride the motorbikes through. And then on the other side was the burlesque shows. So the strippers, basically. So that's how he learned. And his the stories that he told they're always brilliant. So they had what would do, the boxers would challenge any local oncomers. If you could go 3 5-minute rounds, you'd win £5, which was probably like $5,000 today. But the guys had no chance. He said the challengers had no chance because they had few things that they do. For one, the round was supposed to go 5 minutes, but nobody would time. So if the boxer was on top, the round would go 10 minutes. But if the challenger was on top, it would go 10 minutes. And then they also had a hole in the corner of the ring that they would shadow the guy into. And then once the guy fell into that hole, they would smash him, and they wouldn't have a chance. So as you can imagine, it was a very interesting education that I had with him, but he was such a character. So through that, I wrestled in the UK, and just from there, like as we mentioned, some luck played a part, but the dedication and love for what I did kind of got me to where I am, I guess. It's a long
awesome.
story.
And your stage name was Mason Ryan, correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay. We got some questions here. Let's see. Who were you wrestling first with in the US?
Who was my first on TV? That's a really good. I think a guy called R-Truth. That was my first ever singles match. A guy called R-Truth. And funny story about that. This guy would always come out. He was a good guy. I was a bad guy. He would always come out, and he would say, "What's up?" Something like that, but he would say the name of the city that they were in, and he must have got frazzled that night, and he said the wrong city. So then when we go to wrestle, he's all frazzled from saying the wrong city and getting booed as a good guy, which you don't want to do. So it was a kind of a tough match to start off with. So I always remember that.
Awesome. That's awesome. So you went from wrestling, then you did it. What happened that made you shift gears and now wanting to go into real estate? What was it? I mean, you someone was mentioning here on the comments that you talk so passionately about wrestling, and you love it, and the physique, and the commitment and dedication and working out and having all that energy. What happened that made you shift?
A great question. That I think a lot of people who get into real estate investing to some degree, there's a moment, right, that kind of triggers that to them. And what happened with me? So I had that, as I always talked about, I had that dedication and that passion for what I did, right? And it wasn't always wrestling so much. It was just something to take me to something else. I think it was a vehicle, not necessarily the wrestling. And I did love the wrestling, but it wasn't a huge passion. The passion was more creating that lifestyle for myself, right? Going to another country, as I talked about, getting out of that small town, living a bigger life, I guess, is what I had. So I think I always had that. And then what happened was when in 2014, they didn't renew my contract. So I bought an expensive house just outside Tampa, Florida. It was a $430,000 home, and the mortgage was $2,600 a month. And I just bought it in January, and then in March of that year, they didn't renew my contract. So now I've gone from making 6 figures plus, where, I could afford that to not making anything. And I've got this $2,600 mortgage coming in. And I was like, I didn't have any plan B, because my plan A, I was going to be the world heavyweight champion. Plan B, I was going to be the world heavyweight champion. Plan C, I was going to be the world heavyweight champion. And I believed that. I wasn't arrogant about it. I wasn't, overly confident around people, but in my head, I believed it because I worked towards it and I was dedicated. And it wasn't like, it was just, okay, I'm going to be the world heavyweight champion and I'm not working towards it. It's like setting goals, right? You set goals and don't do anything towards it. It doesn't mean anything. You've got to set the goals and work towards those goals. And it was the same with me. So I had no plan B whatsoever. And I was told that you should have one, but it didn't matter because I was going to be the world heavyweight champion. And that kind of hit me like a ton of bricks when they didn't renew my contract. So I was like, I just bought this house. It was $2,600 mortgage payment. My dream had come to an end, and I couldn't psychologically sell that house because I loved the house. The house was bought an emotional. It wasn't a real estate investment. It was just emotion. I love this house. I love where it is. I love everything about it. So it was pure emotion. But I couldn't then go to sell that house because that would have been a step too far for me. It would have really broken me. I was heartbroken as it was. So I had to find a way to keep that house. So I looked into renting it, looked into how to find a tenant, looked into how to, the tenant laws, what's the screening process, all this stuff. And that kind of started me down the road of real estate. So I think I've discovered, the classic bigger pockets, rich dad, poor dad, right? Like most people did. And I just started realizing, wow, okay, there's something here I can control. there's something that I can do and create a lifestyle for myself that I kind of want, you know, and that I can understand and that I can work towards and create something special for myself. And once I realized that, you know, you guys were talking about it before and I couldn't agree more. It's that freedom and it's that life on your terms. And it's just the kind of the control as well of being in control of your life. And that's kind of what happened. So then I fell in love with real estate investing. It's just so cool to me. I enjoy the buildings as well. I enjoy the buildings. I enjoy going inside them. I enjoy obviously what it can create, the lifestyle that it can create. I love everything about it. And I love the people as well, like talking to, you know, people like yourself. I had you on my show a few weeks back and it's just so cool. I just love everything about it. Yeah, it's just amazing to me. So I can take that energy and that passion that I had before and kind of transfer it to this as well. You know, I'm still at work for Cirque du Soleil, I hope. Fingers crossed. Right now we're not working. Hopefully we'll go back at some point. But in the meantime, you know, I can work on real estate and it can, you know, the great thing about real estate is you can work as little or as much as you want to some extent, right? And you can create that lifestyle with it as well, right? So it's just, hopefully I answered your question. I don't know. I'm terrible at talking a lot sometimes.
It's amazing how adversity and setbacks lead us into what things that we love, things that we enjoy, and so forth. There's always that silver lining.
Yeah, and you know, everything happens for a reason. It sounds like such a cliche, but sometimes it really, really does. And it's hard at the time. If someone had told me at the time, like, this is going to set you up for bigger and better things, I wouldn't have believed them. I would have told, you know, I would have expleted, get the hell out of here. You know, don't talk to me. I would have been tempted to punch them in the face probably. But, you know, it really has, because if I kept wrestling, I have a 1-year-old son, right? And I think about this quite often recently. I have a 1-year-old son, and I've been able to spend so much time with him, be home with him every night, put him to bed, give him a bath, all those amazing things, and spend so much time with him. It's been absolutely brilliant. If I was still wrestling, I would have been gone 5.5 days a week. You know, I barely would have seen him, right? It would have been that constant grind. And, you know, if we had more kids, I would have been there. I would have been away from my wife. And it wouldn't been this great lifestyle that I kind of working towards right now. So, you know, as hard as it was at the time, and even sometimes I still miss it, to be honest, is that, you know, it does propel you to other things. And like you said, adversity, it scolds you sometimes to kind of move forward, right? If everything is too comfortable and you're always comfortable in your life and what you do, it's sometimes hard to go to that next level, right? It's sometimes hard to push yourself if everything is just, everything's great. Well, if everything's great, what do you need to do more per se, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, it's adversity and challenge is what makes us move forward, right? It's like that, you know, that crab, right? The crab that grows in its shell, and then it's like, dude, it's too tight in here, right? I gotta do something, and it just continues to grow and changes and whatnot. So with challenge and adversity comes prosperity if you know how to handle it right. You know, how did you said something that, you know, they didn't renew your contract for wrestling, and that must have devastated you, right? Because in your mind, you're going, I'm the next heavyweight champion of the world, and now you're not. How did you pick yourself up? How did you go from that low point to going, you know, dusting yourself off, right? And changing that? Because a lot of times, even in real estate, right? You know, like Tom and I, you know, and you, we go into a deal, we're moving forward, we're doing a deal, and then it collapses on us, and we may lose money, we may lose time, and you know, a lot of times, you know, most of the people just give up. They're like, you know what, I've been beaten and I'm done. So how did you get yourself out of that rut?
Yeah, well, just being truthful, it was rough for a while, to be honest with you. It did sort of make things pretty hard for myself. You know, I did struggle. I did, you know, I did fight some demons, you know, and it did take me into not a great place, right? But through that, you know, the adversity again, you know, it made me have to pick myself. So I had a choice, like it was a choice, right? At this point, you know, this goal, everything that I'd been working for 10 years at that point, right? To get to that point, maybe a little bit longer, and sacrificed a lot, worked my ass off, did what I thought I was supposed to do through all that time, and still it wasn't enough, you know? So it took me a lot of self-reflecting. Actually, it took me down a path of self-reflection, and it took me down a path of working on my mindset. And I had to sort of, it was a point where it was like, either I pick myself up and do this and figure it out, and do whatever it takes, right? Do whatever it takes, because this isn't good right now. And then go from there, as opposed to just rolling over and dying, right? Just being like, this isn't going to work. What am I going to do? Oh, woe is me and stuff like that. And trust me, I had times where I felt pretty sorry for myself. But soon, once you're able to sort of see out of that, you realize that things aren't really that bad, right? Yes, this goal and this lifestyle that I thought I was going to live has come to an end. But come on, I'm living in Tampa, Florida. Like, the sun is out today. I have a house, I have a wife, or a girlfriend at the time, and I'm healthy, and everything is good, right? And what I realized soon enough was as well, right, there are other options. There's stuff that I can do, right? If it's in wrestling, if it's into entertainment, if it's in acting, if it's, then finding real estate, there's stuff I can do, and there's stuff that's in my control, right? So yes, there was times that, and I'll be completely honest, I just didn't feel like getting out of bed for a few weeks. But after a while, you have to pick yourself up, right? Sitting there feeling sorry for yourself all day, not going to the gym, not being active, not doing anything, that's only going to go one way, right? And you have that control with yourself, and that's something that I've really learned with everything that in life, that you have that control. It's absolutely amazing that you have that control. So it's that do or die attitude, I think, that somehow I must have had. I didn't realize it was like fight or flight, right? And I was going to fight at that point. I was like, okay, I'm going to do whatever it takes to kind of make this work and continue forward and figure it out from here,
Absolutely. That's great. We have a couple of questions for you. Let's see. How long did it take you to get into real estate and to turn a profit?
So I had that property that I bought in 2014. They didn't renew my contract in March, April of that year. So then I had, this large $2,600 mortgage payment. So I found a renter. The only problem was, a $2,600 monthly payment, especially in Florida in 2014, it was a lot. There's a lot, even just to cover my minimal expenses. So I had ended up finding someone for $2,300, but the deal was they were going to put blinds in all the house. So this house had 20 windows going around it. It was just amazing, just windows everywhere, windows. So they were going to put blinds throughout the house. I didn't have blinds, so that was probably about $8,000 worth of blinds that they were putting in. So in a way, I was losing money, but in the long run, I was coming out, because it would have cost me a lot more to put the blinds in myself and then pay the $2,600. So that deal wasn't great. I ended up selling that 2 years ago, and I made a little bit of a profit, but probably with a negative cash flow and the fixes I had to do, I probably lost money. But the first deal I made money on was the one I bought in 2016 here in Las Vegas. I bought a townhome that I bought for $173 that I ended up selling for $237. So I ended up making a bit of money, but that was 2 years later. So that was a single family home that I rented out and made some cash flow and kind of did that. So that was the first one. And I was hooked before then. I know a lot of people, they talk about when they first start making that money that they're hooked, but I was hooked before then, because I could see the opportunities, and I could see the opportunities. And even though I'd been negative cash flowing, I was hooked a long time before that.
Yeah, sometimes you got to take 5 steps backwards to be able to go 2 steps forward, right? And we learn a lot more from the mistakes and the failures that we have than from the successes. I was on a podcast yesterday being interviewed, and the interviewer asked me, he goes, why didn't you start mentoring people earlier in your career? And I said, because I didn't make enough mistakes. Right? Yeah. When I started out my career, I didn't have enough.
You only learn from your mistakes. If you don't make mistakes, what you really learn so much, right? Because it's not necessarily about the information. It's more about the pain that you go through to learn that, right? You're going to learn a lot more through pain than you are from someone telling you, right? Yes, you can learn, for sure. You can learn from someone telling you, hey, I made this mistake, and yes, you'll take that on board. But if you make a mistake and you learn from that, right, you're not going to forget that for sure, because it's painful. It's it's terrible, right? You know, like for example, when we bought that house, right? Me and my wife, we're not handy. I'm not handy whatsoever. That's not one of my skill set. But we bought this townhome, and there were some issues with the faucets, the water faucets, and the main line. So we're trying to get these faucets to work, and we're like, oh, okay, what's going on here? We unhook the faucets, and we go out to the street, and like, oh, maybe the mains isn't on, but we didn't reconnect the faucets. So we go to the main line, oh, this isn't connected. That's why it's not working. Turn the water on, and we're like, nothing seems to be changing. We're outside for about 5 minutes, and like, wait, what is that noise? We run inside, second floor bathroom, completely flooded. It's gone out into the carpet. Water's pouring everywhere. So I had to run out, disconnect the main water line, and then we were there for a few hours later trying to soak up that water. Luckily, there wasn't any water damage, but you know, that's a classic example of I'll never make that mistake again, because that was kind of painful and stupid, I guess.
Yeah, right. You learn from those mistakes. We got a question here. If you do you ever? This is taking us back to wrestling. Do you ever make special appearances with other local wrestling companies? And if you do, someone here on the show says, if you ever get to the East Coast in North Carolina, I know a local wrestling company that you can make an appearance on.
I don't, and haven't, simply for the reason with Cirque du Soleil, it can be quite a demanding job. We do 10 shows a week, 5 days a week, you know. So I have a great job. I make good money. They take really good care of me. I get health benefits. So to then wrestle on the weekend and risk, you know,
injury.
On the independent circuit, you don't make that much money, right? It would be just something you did for fun. So to risk all that and risk injury and risk my job for that, it just didn't seem worth it for that point. Because going back a little bit to what happened, like after, you know, going through that and realizing that I need to do whatever it takes to survive and, you know, try and keep this house. It was probably 3 or 4 months before I rented that house. So I was trying to make money any way I can. So I was wrestling wherever I could. I was writing promoters. I was trying to get over to the UK, to Europe, to Asia, to wherever I could to make that happen, you know. And at that time it was tough because not many people, you know, necessarily would want to use you, right? Because you know, they have to fly you. They have other bigger stars. It was a trying time. So you know, through that time, I don't know if I got a little hurt from that, but you know, it just, I don't know. I just didn't want to jeopardize what I had with Cirque, I guess, because I'd been through those tough times. Because once I got that job with Cirque, I was so excited and so happy to not only be doing something fun, but something that I knew I was going to make good money from, and that, you know, I had a bit of stability for a while, you know, because it was a rough time. So I didn't want to jeopardize that.
I hear you.
Real quick, what's your role in Cirque du Soleil? What do you do?
So Cirque has a bunch of different shows. I don't know if everyone knows.
We got 1 minute.
Okay. So I'm what they call the chief archer. So I do choreographed fight scenes on stage. So it's an Asian-based themed show. So I fight like 5'2" guys on stage and throw them around and play the bad guys. So it's a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So do me a favor. What is one thing that you can tell the travelers listening today that are in one place and want to transition into something else? What could you share with them that could help them?
Yeah, one thing for sure is that you have control. I think that's something I've just learned really, is that you have control of yourself, you have control of your life, you have control of what you can achieve and do, right? You know, people creating amazing lives for them through real estate, but you can do it through stocks, you can do it through starting your own business, you can do anything, but you have control. But you've got to take control, right? You have 24 hours in a day, the same as all of us. Yeah, all of us, and you could just kind of take control of your life, right? You know, don't tell yourself you don't have time. Don't tell yourself you can't work out. Don't tell yourself you can't achieve stuff, because you can do all of that. There's, you know, I'm doing it, right? I was a wrestler. I'm not the smartest guy ever in the world, right? By any stretch of the imagination, but I can kind of take control and do stuff, right? All of us, right? It's just taking that control, and you have that ability. You have that ability to create whatever life you want for yourself.
Awesome, my friend. Well, Barry, you know what? You know the old saying, when you have a good time, time flies. Right? So we got to cut the show. I'm definitely going to have you back on the show. I love your energy. I love everything that you're doing. Tom, thanks for being on the show. Travelers, it was awesome having you here. Thanks for all the questions. And I'm going to leave you with this. The wind of opportunity and the wind of change blows on us all the same. It's how you set your sails that will determine your destination. And that's a saying that Jim Rohn used to say, and I love it. And until next week, travelers, I will see you somewhere on Spaceship Earth. Peace out.
Wow, what a great show. Are you excited to learn the untold secrets of how to get wealthy? Then tune in next Thursday and every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern right here on W4CY Radio. You too can learn how to become a traveling investor. If you missed any part of this episode or want to hear it again, go to the Traveling Investor Podcast on iHeartRadio. You can listen to all past episodes on demand 24/7. Next week's episode will take us somewhere new and exciting, so don't miss it. Thank you for listening.
I wanna